Are there things that shouldn't leave the organization? We were talking about like outsourcing or bringing in folks like Jim to look at these organizations and to add a level of expertise around these things. But are there things that really just need to stay inside of the organization?
I used to make that argument. I mean, if you listen to some of my early talks back in the early 2000s, clearly there were things that we were waiting for maturity out of some of the vendor community and the managed service providers. I mean, they were frankly building an entire practice around something like network detection or something like taking all of your Cisco logs and being able to make sense of those things, right? And so again, I think that comes back to maturity. I think it comes back to, really thinking that through for your organization. But we've made progress on that front, right? So I think my general thoughts there are, again, you're building a certain level of trust with an organization. Probably start off small. One of the things we see all the time, and, I'm sure Jim would say the same, is it's pretty typical. Someone says, I need better data. I'm not getting enough data. I don't know what my vulnerability status is. So the start may become a very tactical effort, but I think as the external advisors, if you attach that strategically to the business outcomes that are needed, you're able to continue to grow not only your business on the external side, but make sure you're delivering for that client internally and not getting out over your skis saying, hey, we can deliver on a bunch of stuff that we can't actually prove. Again, if the client is doing their job contractually and requiring certain metrics, certain performance metrics, those things, and they're based in the contract, well, I can assure you people will try to get paid and meet the outline of the contract, right? And so again, I think as you build trust, how is trust built in business? That's going to be contractually, making sure that you're not giving them unrealistic OLAs or SLAs to adhere to. But look, we've got clients that do everything from full managed infrastructure to infrastructure in the cloud. So I would say I don't have a definitive around what shouldn't leave your organization. Again, that's going to be based around the risk appetite that you have as a leadership team.
Yeah, I'd actually, double click on that as well, which is, really today the customers are trying to find that visibility story for themselves. So the operational, I'm getting what I'm paying for, ROI, just a true visibility that actually has a tangible outcome. If anything, I would say, to segue back to compliance and governance these days, it's data security governance that's actually kind of driving the what doesn't leave the organization or what stays in the continental U.S., respectively, of U.S. law or globally with global law. That's really the biggest decision-making thing we see today is really, hey, but just got through 2 contracts this morning where the organization deals with like healthcare data and they need to guarantee that it's only stored in everything that, they're using SaaS solutions. It has to be in the continental US. It can't leave the continental US because of HIPAA, as a simple example. So, they are still outsourcing. They're still looking for a tangible end outcome from this product that they're working with, but they have to go through the entire supply chain of all the underneath the cool little metric, the thing that makes the graph and this little component that does this and this that sends that. It all stays in the U.S. So, kind of going back to the secure build of materials all the way to ecosystem of how the thing works, making sure that it actually stays in those refined geographic areas, from a governance standpoint. And even to double click on, Rick hit the nail on the head of what was okay a decade or just simply 5 years ago is no longer okay. And I can easily point to managed security services. When we, as direct defense started, literally it was okay to simply go to market with, I got a really world's best service for you. I'm going to give you all this custom stuff. And really all of our SLAs and metric were around, you sent me 10,000, I answer 10,000, or you can chew me out for only answering 9,991. So, where's the extra 9? Where's why did this miss? Now that same conversation happens as a bare minimum of expectation of service. On top of that, we now have all the time to detect, time to respond, time to enrich, time to act, all those, microsecond to second, conversations and ecosystems and the expected dashboard. Literally we were laughing the other day because when we got done, we had really spent some time re-architecting just how the data flows through our SOC, and looking for gates to actually be able to start calculating a lot of these, expectations of a secure maturity program, which is, we have to report on nearly 15 stats now. It wasn't you sent me X and we did Y. That's just, now we have to add on all the extra widgets because essentially there's terms of service. There's minimal expectations moving forward that have matured. So the industry is maturing at the same rate of our customers sometimes. Depending on the pendulum, it may be one side or the other. And so that's kind of really where we're seeing the biggest, education for both parties. Some customers come to us very mature and they make us rise our game. But in many cases, we're actually doing the opposite direction, which is just telling users today, here's what you should minimally be expecting now.